Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we will discuss a topic that every man needs to understand: the warning signs of a low-value woman and why protecting yourself from the wrong relationship is essential. Not every woman deserves your time, energy, or commitment. Some women elevate your life, bringing peace, support, and growth. Others, they drain you, emotionally, mentally, and even financially, leaving you second-guessing yourself and struggling to find stability. The most dangerous ones don't always reveal themselves immediately. They may appear charming, fun, or even caring initially, only for their true nature to emerge over time. A low-value woman isn't just someone who isn't the right match for you. She can derail your life entirely. She brings unnecessary drama, manipulates emotions, and traps you in a cycle of confusion and frustration. But here's the good news: if you know what to look for, you can avoid the chaos before it starts. In this video, we'll break down 6 clear signs that indicate a woman is not relationship material. These insights will help you navigate dating with clarity and confidence, ensuring you only invest in relationships supporting your growth. Stay with me until the end, because recognizing these signs could save you years of unnecessary stress. Let's get started. Sign 1. She thrives on drama and chaos. Some women simply cannot function without turmoil. When life is calm, they feel restless. When a relationship is stable, they seek disruption. Conflict isn't an accident, it's a necessity. Minor disagreements that should be resolved in minutes spiral into endless battles, not because the issue matters, but because she craves emotional intensity. She feels numb, without tension, without the height of an argument, and she feels relief from reconciliation. She doesn't just tolerate drama, she creates it. You'll notice the signs early on. She twists words, making you question things you never said. She accuses you of intentions you never had. One moment, she's warm and affectionate. The next, she's distant and withdrawn for reasons you can't understand. If you ask what's wrong, she'll say, "If you don't know, I won't tell you." She withholds affection, not because she's hurt, but because she wants to see you chase her. The emotional whiplash keeps you on edge, uncertain of where you stand. It's not an accident, it's a pattern. She may justify her behavior with casual admissions. "I just like a little drama, it keeps things exciting. If there's no fire, it's boring. Nice guys are too easy." These aren't just passing comments. They're insights into her mindset. Stability bores her. Predictability makes her restless. The moment she feels secure in a relationship, she subconsciously starts unraveling it. If you stay, you'll constantly second-guess your words, actions, and presence in her life. You'll try to fix things, reason with her, and find the perfect balance that keeps her happy without losing yourself. But that balance doesn't exist. A woman who thrives on chaos isn't looking for peace, she's looking for a reaction. A high-value woman values connection over conflict. She doesn't use manipulation as a test of love. She doesn't see stability as stagnation. She communicates instead of creating confusion. She doesn't make you feel you must prove yourself just to earn her affection. The only way to win with a chaotic woman is to leave. When you stop engaging in the drama and refuse to play the game, you take away her power. She will either panic and chase after you or disappear and blame you. Either way, you win. Peace is not something you fight for, it's something you choose by being selective with who you allow into your life. Sign 2. She's addicted to validation. She thrives on attention, not connection. No matter how much love, praise, or devotion you offer, it will never be enough. She doesn't crave you, she craves an audience. Every interaction, Every word of encouragement, every moment of affection is absorbed and then discarded, like fuel burned through in a fire that refuses to die. She doesn't seek fulfillment in a relationship, she seeks an external source of endless admiration, something no single man can ever provide. Social media is her playground, her stage, her mirror. Every post, every carefully chosen filter, and every caption dripping with manufactured vulnerability are designed to elicit a reaction. She claims she's just sharing her life, just expressing herself. But the true purpose is unmistakable. The likes, the comments, and the private messages from strangers all serve as proof that she is still desired, still relevant, and still captivating. When confronted, she dismisses your concerns, calling you insecure or jealous. It's just a picture, she says, as if the intent behind it were invisible. I can't control how people react, she insists, even as she designs her world to provoke the response she craves. She will tell you that you're overreacting, that it's harmless, that you should be confident enough not to care. But confidence isn't the issue, respect is. A woman who values real connection does not need to be reassured by a crowd. She doesn't treat attention as currency or prioritize strangers over the man she claims to love. She understands that admiration from the world means nothing if it comes at the cost of the respect within her relationship. If she is addicted to validation, nothing will ever satisfy her. A single person's love can never compete with the faceless masses that offer her fleeting doses of self-worth. The man who stays, hoping that one day she will change, is setting himself up for a battle he will never win. Because for her, the addiction is more potent than any real connection could ever be. Sign 3. She has zero accountability. Some women see themselves as victims no matter what happens. Every mistake, every failure, every problem in their life is someone else's fault. If she loses her job, it's because her boss was unfair. If her relationships fall apart, it's always because her exes are toxic. If she's struggling financially, it's never due to her spending habits. It's the economy. She refuses to acknowledge her role in the chaos surrounding her and instead finds someone else to blame. When this mindset is brought into a relationship, the damage is inevitable. If she cheats, it's not because she made a selfish choice. It's because you were distant, inattentive, or not giving her what she needed. If she disrespects you, it's not because she lacks self-restraint. You made her mad. Every wrong action she takes is justified in her mind, and over time you start to feel like the guilty one. You begin questioning yourself, wondering if you are at fault, if you could have done something differently, and if maybe you were the problem all along. A woman who refuses to take accountability will turn you into her emotional scapegoat. You will carry her guilt, her stress, and her problems while she plays the victim. No matter how much you try to help, reason with, or guide her towards self-awareness, it won't matter. She doesn't want solutions, she wants someone to take the blame. A high-value woman acknowledges her mistakes, learns and grows. A low-value woman deflects blame, spins excuses, and repeats the same destructive patterns. No fixing. And someone refuses to see that they are broken. If she never takes responsibility for anything, she will never change. And if you stay, her problems will become yours. The only real solution is to walk away before you lose yourself in the process. Sign 4. She uses emotional manipulation to control you. A woman who uses emotional manipulation to control you doesn't need to raise her voice, argue, or make direct demands. Instead, she operates in the background, subtly shaping your thoughts and actions through guilt, silence, and passive aggression. At first, these tactics seem insignificant, almost harmless. A brief sulk when you make plans without her, A seemingly casual remark like, "It's fine, do whatever you want," even though she doesn't mean it. The occasional silent treatment over something minor forced you to play detective and guess what went wrong. But the more you adapt your behavior to keep the peace, the stronger her control becomes. Without realizing it, you begin prioritizing her emotions over your own needs. You hesitate before making decisions, wondering how she will react. You avoid specific topics because you know they will trigger passive-aggressive responses. You stop making plans without consulting her, not because she explicitly forbade it, but because you've learned that the price of her disapproval is too high. It's not an open war. It's a slow erosion of your independence, and by the time you recognize it, you may already be deeply entangled in the pattern. The danger of emotional manipulation is that it doesn't feel like manipulation at first. It feels like a compromise. You tell yourself you're just being thoughtful, just trying to make the relationship work. However, real compromise involves two people adjusting for each other, not one person constantly changing to avoid conflict. In a relationship driven by emotional manipulation, one person's needs always come first, while the other learns to submit out of fear of upsetting the balance. Over time, the weight of this imbalance grows heavier. She frames your independent choices as betrayals. If you set a boundary, she makes you feel selfish. If you assert your own needs, she subtly implies that you are neglecting hers. Every time you give in, you reinforce her control. You start walking on eggshells, monitoring your behavior to avoid her displeasure. The result? You slowly lose touch with the man you once were. But a high-value woman doesn't need to manipulate through silence or guilt. She communicates openly and directly, even when she's upset. She doesn't punish you for making your own choices, or making you feel like a villain for having a life outside of her. The solution isn't to argue or try to win her over. It's to stop playing the game entirely. When you sense emotional manipulation, call it out calmly. If something's bothering you, I'm open to talk, but I won't play guessing games. Then, most importantly, continue living your life on your terms. When she realizes that her tactics no longer affect you, she has two choices: adjust her approach and engage in healthy communication, or move on to someone more susceptible. Either way, you win. Ultimately, a man who values his time, energy, and emotional well-being will always have the upper hand. Sign 5. She has no long-term vision. A woman who lacks long-term vision is easy to recognize if you pay attention. She lives impulsively, avoids responsibility, and chooses short-term pleasure over long-term stability. She may say she wants security, but does little to create it. Her lifestyle is centered around the immediate, spending recklessly, chasing excitement, and making choices without considering their long-term effects. She expects you to be the steady foundation in her life while she continues to live without discipline or direction. In her mind, the future is something to be figured out later, not something to be built with intention today. The signs are always there. She never budgets yet constantly shops, justifying her spending with excuses like "I deserve it" or "I'll figure it out later." Her job history is a series of short-lived roles, each abandoned when it no longer excites her. She has big dreams but no concrete steps to achieve them. When setbacks arise, she never takes accountability. Instead, she blames circumstances, bad luck, or other people. If she faces financial struggles, she will look to you to save her rather than change her habits. If she encounters challenges in life, she expects external solutions instead of making internal adjustments. She drifts from one situation to the next, never truly learning from her mistakes because, in her mind, the problem is always external. The danger of being with a woman like this is that she cannot lead herself and therefore not build with you. A woman without vision will either slow you down or become entirely dependent on you. At first, her carefree attitude may seem fun and even refreshing. She might appear spontaneous, full of energy, and unbothered by stress. But over time, the weight of carrying the entire relationship will fall on you. You will be the one planning for the future, making sacrifices, and holding everything together while she drifts through life. If you mention financial planning, she dismisses it as boring. If you talk about career goals, she sees it as unnecessary pressure. When difficulties arise, she expects you to handle them. And if she makes mistakes, she assumes you will clean up the mess. A high-value woman understands the importance of planning for the future. She is not just looking for a man to support her. She wants a partner to build with. She respects discipline, sets goals, and aligns herself with a man who shares her vision. She understands that life requires effort, and she is willing to contribute. She does not rely on luck or external rescue. She takes responsibility for her growth. She doesn't just dream, she takes action. She doesn't avoid hard work, she embraces it. If a woman does not respect commitment in her own life, whether in her career, finances, or personal development, she will not honor commitment in a relationship. No matter how strong the initial attraction is, a relationship without a shared vision will collapse when life becomes difficult. Love alone is not enough to sustain a partnership. The real test of a relationship is how well two people can navigate challenges together. If a woman lacks direction and refuses to take responsibility for her life, she will only bring chaos into yours. A man who values his future must also choose a partner who values hers. Sign 6. She doesn't respect masculinity, she competes with it. A woman who does not respect masculinity does not view it as a source of strength, leadership, or stability. She sees it as a challenge, something to push against rather than align with. Every decision you make is scrutinized. Every attempt at leadership is met with resistance, and every effort to provide structure is labeled as controlling. She argues not to understand, but to win. Her words are not meant to foster connection, but to assert dominance, to prove that she does not need a man to guide or support her. "I don't need a man to do anything for me," becomes her mantra. She prides herself on independence, but wields it like a weapon rather than a virtue. When you attempt to lead, she calls it controlling. When you set boundaries, she labels it toxic. Her mindset is not one of partnership but of resistance, shaped by past traumas, societal conditioning, or experiences that have taught her to view masculinity as oppressive rather than complementary. This kind of dynamic is not just frustrating, it is exhausting. A relationship should be a place of trust, support, and mutual respect, not a constant battle for superiority. Yet, with a woman who sees masculinity as competition, every conversation feels like a debate, every decision becomes a test, and every disagreement turns into a fight for control. The more you try to establish healthy leadership, the more she resists, pushing back simply to prove she is just as strong, capable, and dominant. Over time, this dynamic takes its toll. A man who stays in such a relationship finds himself constantly walking on eggshells, afraid that any attempt to assert himself will lead to another argument. He hesitates before making decisions, second-guesses his instincts, and suppresses his natural inclination to lead. What begins as a desire to maintain peace turns into self-diminishment. Slowly he becomes a passive version of himself, stripped of the qualities that once made him attractive. Stoicism proposes that once made him attractive. A man in this situation has two choices. He allows himself to be worn down, conforming to an environment where his masculinity is treated as a flaw, or he recognizes that a genuine relationship is not a battlefield. A real partnership is not about power struggles, but about complementing each other, where the strengths of one balance out the weaknesses of the other. A man should never feel guilty for embodying his natural strength, setting boundaries, being decisive, or leading confidently. The most dangerous aspect of a relationship with a woman who sees masculinity as competition is that, over time, it erodes the very foundation of attraction. A woman may push back against a strong man, but does not respect a weak one. If you continue to shrink yourself to accommodate her resistance, she will eventually lose all attraction to you. She may say she wants equality, but deep down she does not desire a man who is easily swayed or constantly apologetic for his nature. She may argue for dominance, but she craves a man who is unwavering in his identity. A relationship is not a battleground where two people fight for dominance. It is a partnership where both pull in the same direction, complementing rather than opposing each other. Masculinity does not need to apologize for existing, and a man should never feel guilty for embodying his natural strength. The moment a relationship turns into a power struggle, it ceases to be a relationship and becomes an exhausting contest with no winner, only resentment. The solution is not to fight harder to prove yourself, but to recognize when a relationship no longer serves you. A man who values himself does not beg for respect. He walks away from anything that undermines it. A man who values himself does not tolerate chaos, manipulation, or disrespect. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of the people you allow into it, and choosing the wrong partner can drain your energy, weaken your confidence, and steer you away from your purpose. A high-value man recognizes the warning signs early, sets firm boundaries, and refuses to entertain relationships that compromise his peace and self-respect. If a woman thrives on drama, seeks constant validation, refuses accountability, manipulates your emotions, lacks direction, or competes with your masculinity, she is not a partner. She is a distraction. A fulfilling relationship is built on mutual respect, shared values, and emotional security, not power struggles and mind games. You don't need to change her, fix her, or prove your worth. Your only responsibility is to walk away and protect your energy. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever encountered these traits in a relationship? What lessons did you learn? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this video valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more insights on relationships, self-improvement, and living with strength and purpose. Stay strong, stay grounded, and choose wisely. See you in the next one.